year as well. And with that, let me quickly say hello to my guest in studio, or just not in studio, on StreamYard. I've got Mark Anderson and Rochelle Best. And hello to you guys.
Hello, Marco. Thanks for
Hi,
having us.
Marco. Hi.
It's
Thanks,
good to
Marco.
have you. And we've actually had quite an interesting conversation already off air in regards to our. What, let me use this term right. Schoolers. First time I've heard this term. And Rochelle, maybe before we get to that, maybe introduce yourself, Mark, as well. And then I want to get to that term, schoolers. It's very interesting to me. Maybe I'm just getting older. But hello to you, Rochelle. And tell us first and foremost about you before we get to Mark.
Thanks, Marco. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Rochelle Best. I'm the founder and the CEO of FYI Play It Safe. I'm going to tell you a little bit later about what FYI Play It Safe is about. But secondary to that, I'm a mother of a 15-year-old daughter. I've done the parenting, I've done the digital parenting, and as you know, this is an ongoing commitment. If you have a child and you have a child with a mobile device, then parenting is hard.
Hello to you, Mark, and maybe just a bit of an intro from your side.
Hi, Marco. Thanks for having us on the show. My name's Mark. I'm from an online school named Koa Academy. Founded it with my wife, Lauren. Also parents of two much smaller ones than Rochelle's. We're just at the beginning of our parenting journey. But we're really excited about this conversation, particularly from an online schooling perspective.
Man, me too. I think just reading through the media release about raising digitally safe online schoolers. Before we get that, Rochelle, talk to me about schoolers. Just that term. Let's get that out of the way first. Why the term schoolers? Mark, you're laughing, but I'm getting old, man. Please,
Marco,
schoolers.
I'm having a chuckle here because one of the things that we're really excited about for parents today is the increased number of options that they have when it comes to education. But one of the complexities is understanding all of the different options and the terminology that's being used and the language that's used to describe different types of schooling or learners, students, schoolers. I mean, end of the day, this conversation is just about kids.
Okay.
So, we've used the word schoolers, but let's go with kids.
Okay. But schoolers is good because I think you guys have done a bit of a combo name there with scholars and learners. So, okay, let's go there. But the main thing is about how do we keep our kids or schoolers digitally safe online? And I'll get into Rochelle with the Play It Safe initiative. Let's talk about that before we get to you, Mark, and the KOA Academy.
Thanks, Marco. When my daughter reached an age where giving her a mobile device became an option, I did research on all the options I had to protect her online. And at that stage, all I could find was the typical parental control apps, and the apps that can do content filtering. But I couldn't find anything that will alert me as a parent if my child was exposed to a potentially harmful event. And that is how FYI Play It Safe was born. So it's not a parental control app, but it's a complementary layer of added security. So it's a downloadable app that helps helps parents protect their children online. And practically, if I can cover some of the practicalities around it, what FYI Play It Safe does is it monitors the actual content of what your child engages in. So it looks at, his online chats, whether that's in a game chat room or whether it's on WhatsApp. But it also looks at things that they Google. So as an example, if they mostly when children have suicidal ideation, one of the first things they do is they start reading up about it, or they start to chat to their friends about some options and things like that. So FYI Play It Safe monitors that in the background. And then when it picks up that there is an issue or a potentially harmful event, it will send the parent the alert.
We'll flag it
so that they have a fair chance to intervene.
That sounds amazing. I think a lot of times hindsight is 2020 vision, and a lot of people say, "I wish I saw that," or "I wish I knew," or "Now that I think of it, it was always there." But this is amazing that you could have something flag you already and say, pay attention. And I want to get more into this initiative because I think it's amazing and a great tool to a lot of parents. And Rochelle is already at a different stage, I think myself as well, in terms of where our kids are. And Mark, you say you're just starting out. Best of luck to you, my friend. And
A long road ahead.
we're really praying for you. But let's talk about the KOA Academy now. Here's the one thing, and just looking at what you've seen me in terms, you guys seen me in terms of just the briefing. We know that we were necessitated to work from home, especially a lot of us because of the pandemic. And with that, a lot of people has access to Wi-Fi now and other infrastructure. How has that played into our schoolers, Mark, and also now concerning the digital safety?
Yeah, Marco, I think it's been huge, both from the parents' perspective, but also from the school's perspective. When we think about learning and we think about how learning happens best, I think as educators, we've been waiting for shifts in technology to be able to open up access to the sorts of learning that we want to offer our children. But then from a parent's perspective, the pandemic has pushed us all into an experience in some form or another of online schooling. And I think for a lot of parents, the appetite is now there to go, actually, I quite enjoyed having my kids at home. I quite enjoyed having them, in our space.
I'm looking at Rochelle
spending more
already.
time with them. Rochelle's nodding.
She's nodding.
And I think where a lot of parents were intimidated by the idea of doing school from your home, they've realized actually this idea of online schooling provides us with all the robust academic support that we need. So I don't have to be my child's teacher, but at the same time, I get to be with my child more during the day and on our terms, which I think has increased the appetite for online learning.
And just sticking with that, Mark, tell me more about that, the enhancement of that. I think it's been very, very quick, especially in this last 18 months in terms of when we had a lot of us became teachers as well and had to homeschool. But tell us more about how that has enhanced in terms of even the advancements in terms of online schooling.
So I think this is something that you talk to a group of parents from different schools in South Africa, and their experience of going online with their school would be vastly different to each other. You look at some schools which made the transition into the online space quite naturally, and others have really battled, and that's to be expected. I think one of the things to know about KOA Academy is that from the beginning, we were set up to be an online school, even pre-COVID. The structures and the systems that we were building were shaping towards us being an online school. And so we're really able to leverage things that traditional physical schools aren't able to, whether it's because of time restraints or economics or geography, things like rather than our teachers having to create and deliver all of the content teaching to the middle of the class, where you've got, 20, 30, 40 kids in a class and you teach to the middle and everybody follows the teacher. Our teachers are able to leverage resources from around the world, leverage platforms which are designed to be engaging in the online space. And then every child can be working on their individualized platforms at their own pace, facilitated by the teacher. But it's so much more of a custom-built, individualized experience.
Sure. And Rochelle, back to you, just in terms of the dangers of online presence and being on devices and the like. What has your experience been? And so some of the advice of how we can find a good balance in this?
Malcolm, that's a very good question. We believe that keeping our children safe online starts with the relationship with your child. So with conversation about really hard topics, things like pornography, things like sexting, it's really just a matter of time before your child is exposed to anything like that in an online situation. So your child should know that whenever they encounter something that may be inappropriate, that you're their first point of call. That they need you to guide them through difficult situations. That doesn't change whether your child is on the playing ground and something happens and they need you there, or whether they're in an online game and there's a chat that makes them uncomfortable, that you must be their first point of call. No, because the fact is that our children don't like us going through all their comments on their mobile devices. They don't like us reading through their messages.
We wouldn't like
Because
it in
it
any
makes
case.
them exactly, and it makes them feel like we don't trust them, right?
Yeah.
So our driving value when we started with FYI Play It Safe was protect them but respect them. So yes, we should empower our children by having conversations about cyberbullying, about if someone says something or even in an online situation where he feels uncomfortable, he would like to know about it. So that relationship part for me is the absolute most important. And then another risk that I think parents should be aware of is we can't. I mean, me, Marco, Mark, we can't keep up with technology changes as it happens. I mean, apps get launched every day. The apps we use now change every day. So that in itself is a full-time job. So although we may do our utmost to make sure that we know what's going on, now use the tools that are out there in the market. Use screen time settings, use content filtering, use age restrictions, and then use something like FYI Play It Safe to make sure you have all the right information.
I'm learning today, and I love this FYI Play It Safe initiative. And you're right. I think, especially for us as parents, we need to stay abreast of a lot of things, but I don't think it's always possible. Our kids are very, very clever, and they know how to navigate through a lot of things we may not even be aware of. Mark, I want to talk about this webinar, this COA Academy webinar. Tell us more about that, and I want to come back to the Rochelle just a little bit later on just some tips for our parents. But tell us more about this webinar.
Absolutely, Marco. So this is something that we're really committed to as an online school. We want the way that we set up the online school. We're very mindful of the fact that this is a really pertinent question for our parents. It's something that's really important for them to be asking and for us to be engaging with them on. So, on one hand, we're setting up the systems for COA Academy to provide a really safe space for kids to engage online. Things like small classes where you're highly accountable and engaged with each other and your work in a safe way. Live dashboards which give up-to-date progress on a child's academics. But at the same time, we're wanting to help parents go beyond just the school is set up in a smart way. We want to help engage them in these conversations like Rochelle's talking about now. She's talking about relationship. She's talking about connection. And that's important for us as a school. It's important for us to help develop that in families. Mark, I even see that the name of your show, it feeds into this idea of connecting.
Yeah.
And so we've got this webinar coming up next Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 2nd, and it's going to be from 6 till 7 p.m. in the evening. It's a free webinar. It's going to be team hosted by myself and Rochelle from FYI Play It Safe. And we're also inviting Arinda Truter, who's an attorney. She's an ICT law specialist, so she specializes in social media and the law. She's going to be bringing in the legal aspect of what we need to understand and how we engage our kids in these conversations. And it's all going to be geared towards, firstly, equipping parents with understanding, and secondly, helping to start those conversations between parents and kids.
That sounds interesting. It seems like something I need to get involved with there as well. But I must say that as good it is for me to learn stuff here, and I'm pretty sure the listeners, I feel a bit nervous. I must admit. I think I'm a bit tech savvy. I know a lot about a lot of things, but just listening to you guys, I'm a bit nervous because it's clear that for a lot of us parents, there's a lot of things we do not know, and maybe I think I've got a grip on things, but clearly not. I spoke to you guys offline, and I said in my household, everybody's got access to everybody's devices and stuff, and so we've really got nothing to hide in that regard. But clearly, there's quite a few things that I may not be aware of, and I think a webinar like that is it's gold. I think in today's terms and times. Rochelle, just help me out, help the parents out here in terms of some of the safety tips, especially. And I like this FYI Play It Safe initiative as well. Just give me some hope.
So I think there are lots of resources out there, Marco, that you can use. So I would start off when you wouldn't give your child a bicycle, without giving him the helmet that goes with it. to protect him. So similarly, you shouldn't be giving your child a mobile device without some proper protection to make sure that he's safe in where he engages. So I would say, number one, set up proper screen time, and there's no one size fits all, right? Because screen time for one child may be completely different than from another child. But for me, the not negotiable is bedtime. So make sure that they don't use their phone between a specific period of time where they're supposed to be asleep, and in that wind down stage before going to bed. Next, I would say make sure that your parental controls are set properly. So things like content filtering, things like age restrictions on apps. There's a reason why apps have age restrictions. It's because the content that your children may get exposed to online is just not appropriate at specific ages. Now, some content, I won't even say is appropriate for me, but giving our children access to some of these things, they will get exposed to, and pornography is probably the easy one, but so much more harmful things out there. And then I would say, get an app like FYI Play It Safe. It is really, really easy to use. I know a lot of people think that that installing things is hard, and it's you need to have a master's or a doctorate degree in technology, but it's actually not. So step one is go to www.fyiplayitsafe.com, download and install the apps from our website on your child device and on the parent device. And then the last step is, after you've installed it, is to bind the two devices together. And that's it, 3 steps and you're sorted.
Guess what I'm doing tonight? I'm doing exactly that. And I want to get to Mark in a moment, but I think we need to land very, very quickly. But Rochelle, just contact details if people want to get in touch with you.
So you can there's a contact us page on our webpage. So it's www.fyiplayitsafe.com. Alternatively, we're very active on Instagram and Facebook, and our handles on both of those are at FYI Play It Safe. So you can just send us a direct message on there as well.
Okay. And Mark, just from your side, anything that you still want to mention? Because I actually want to continue with this conversation. I think it's something that needs to be a lot of awareness that needs to be made to people. And I think maybe we just a little bit lax on the safety measures and on what our kids are up to, especially even us. And so we need to know how to keep safe for ourselves as well. But Mark, just your final words quickly.
Mark, I think what you've said there is spot on. And just to point out, this is not a conversation that's only relevant to people with children in online schools.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that's relevant to every parent. So whether your child is in an online school or a physical school, or you're homeschooling them yourself, a webinar like this can be a really powerful tool in your arsenal. So I'd really encourage any parents who are listening, who are thinking to themselves, do I qualify because I'm not in an online school? Yes, come to the webinar. Partnering with people like Rochelle and Arinda and hearing what's happening in spaces like with Koa Academy can be really empowering to parents, even if you never do end up joining an online school. So I'd really encourage all parents to join. You can find a link for the registration at koaacademy.com. So pop onto our website, www.koaacademy, that's KOA Academy, and then you'll see there's a button there that you can join the webinar.
I loved how he pointed there at the screen there where the name
is
on the screen. Yeah, I saw. I love that. And so if you were watching, you probably know what I'm talking about. And if you were not watching, you can go watch it back after we're done here. But it was amazing talking to the both of you. I think let's continue this conversation even beyond the webinar and other things, because I think it is something that needs to get in the consciousness of our people, because we have a fast paced life, and things like you said, Rochelle, apps every day, new things. And off air, I discussed with him, and I said that recently one of the revelations coming out of Facebook world is the algorithms and how it affects our kids, even in Instagram and the like. And so we got to be very much aware of what our kids face. I know when we grew up, we didn't have all of the information that they have, and so we need to be good stewards of them, and of course what they do with their own time there as well. But it was great chatting to you guys. I feel like I need to to go on for another half an hour with you, but this is radio, so I got to get into some other time slots. But it was fantastic having you guys, and I'm going to check out the app a little bit later. I'll check out that webinar on the 2nd of November as well. I'll urge our listeners to go check that out. So what a pleasure it has been. We'll do this again sometime soon. Thanks, Rochelle, and thanks, Mark. Till next time.
Thanks so much,
God bless you guys.
Marco, thanks so much.
Thank
Connect soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye. And so that was Rochelle and Mark, and what a conversation about keeping our kids digitally safe, the schoolers as they call them. And so there's more details in regards to the COA Academy webinar, and you can check it out on via the World Wide Web, COA Academy, and check it out about that. I'm certainly going to check it out for myself. And with that, I'm going to go into a break, and when I come back, I've got Steve Reed of #Hope is Rising up next year on